Some stories are so horrific they remain untold for years. But Leona has decided to waive her anonymity and tell how she became a victim of a notorious child grooming ring over a decade ago. She had a difficult upbringing.
Yeah, my mum wasn't exactly well, bless her. She had a few issues with her mental health, so she didn't really have the right role models to teach her to be a parent, so she didn't know what to do with us.
Leona was easy prey for a woman called Amanda Spencer, who befriended young girls in Sheffield and then sold them to child abusers.
Genuinely thought I loved her.
So she was the person you confided in?
She understood everything I said. And she listened. And she said that she was there, and she said that she loved us, and she cared about me. She cared about me. I thought she cared about me.
Like many of her victims, Spencer took Leona to parties, and aged 13 she was drugged and sold by Spencer to a man for sex.
And then I was in a room, and then I woke up through it.
Did you see her after that?
Yeah, she came in with two other men, and I was beaten.
In front of her?
She beat me too.
What must have been going through your mind?
Why?
Yeah.
What did I do wrong? I suppose that's how kids think though, don't they? Like, if they grow up always being in the wrong, always being the bad child, then if something bad happens, that's always going to be your fault. You've obviously done something first to start that from happening.
I don't know, can you describe the journey home?
There was no journey home for a few weeks.
Okay.
There was no journey home. They needed to trust that I could go home and be trusted.
So what happened after they beat you up then?
I spent weeks with them getting beaten and raped and drugged. And then I was allowed to go home, I was allowed to go to school, I was allowed to see my friends. Because they know that they could come and get me whenever they wanted.
After that, Leona would regularly go missing, but says authorities lacked curiosity. Did no one ask, what have you been doing? I mean, not just the police, but teachers or social workers?
No, the thing was, what do you think you're doing? Not what have you been doing, what do you think you're doing? My answer was always, I don't know. I'm sorry.
And was there any part of you that thought, here's a person I can actually tell what's going on?
No. No.
Why not?
Because nobody would have believed me. They convinced me of that. Nobody's going to believe me. And if I do say something, what's going to happen to my family? They know where I live. My mum was a disabled woman. What's she going to do? She can ring the police. I can trust them, can't I? I could trust them to keep my family safe. No.
She alleges that one of the men she was sold to was a police officer, who she later recognised when he picked her up after she'd gone missing. Did he say anything to you?
What, in the police car?
Yeah.
He just spoke to me like the police officers do. You know everybody's been worried about you, don't you? You can't keep putting your family through this. You've got a lot of people out there looking for you and you're wasting our resources by doing this.
This allegation comes after the police inspectorate warned that poor vetting was allowing sexual predators to join police forces. South Yorkshire Police Chief Constable Lauren Poultney, who now wants to meet Leona, told Sky News what happened to Leona at the hands of her abusers is simply unforgivable. And I'm extremely concerned to hear today that the trauma she faced may have involved an officer who was serving with the force. There's no place in policing for individuals who abuse their position for criminal behaviour, and we proactively root out those who do so. Leona didn't report the incident with the police officer. Eventually she escaped to Norfolk, and one day the police came knocking. She'd been identified by others as a child victim.
I genuinely felt like the earth ate me.
Because you didn't want to talk about it? You're trying to put it behind you?
I tried to pretend it weren't real. If it's a bad dream, it doesn't hurt, does it? If it's a bad dream, it never happened. It's not real.
It's been 8 years since Spencer was jailed along with one of the abusers, but the demons don't go away. From the age of 13 to 14, how many men would you say raped you?
I don't know. And as weird as it might sound, I don't want to know. I don't want to know because the amount that I do know is... Whether it was my fault or not...
Well, it wasn't your fault.
I still feel dirty and it's still...
It wasn't your fault. She has a life now and children of her own, but she can never escape the memories. Jason Farrell, Sky News.